Football Update. It's with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Loosemore.
Is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Sean Spencer, North Carolina's finest, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And it's Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. That means college football update is back, and we are so very close to getting some actual college football action, but we're not there yet, ladies and gentlemen. And to help me to bide my time until the time comes, I got these three gentlemen with me, starting with my guy over here. The one guy that owns Ohio State, Michigan's own, my guy, Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Excited to talk ball, even if it is the second best conference in the nation. We're what, 2 Saturdays away from college ball?
11 days.
And then three for the majority of us, but it's right around the corner. Cannot wait. There's only so many games of NCAA I can play on the PlayStation before it becomes real. So
yes. I still get really mad at those games, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, buddy. And you see that guy down there in the corner. Normally he's donning that burgundy and that gold, but we told him he could talk a little SEC today. So he is decked out in that garnet and other in black. Right? Is that your colors? My guy, South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer. What up, Will?
How did you get tripped up on the black part? Like the fact that you knew it's garnet is
I thought it was another color.
Like you didn't say it's maroon or burgundy or all the other shades of red. But no, hey, it's 81 degrees right now, and that just makes me think about fall in the South. When it's sunny and 81 degrees and it's November, it's October, it's November, and the best conference in the land is playing at noon and at 3:30. And I'm excited to share with you some of these teams today.
Come on. Love it. Love it. The SEC will be on the docket for today. And you see this guy right under me sitting in front of Touchdown Jesus, E.K. Holiday. What up, Eric?
Hey, Sean. Nah, man, I'm with these guys. I am so excited for football, like the distraction, the hope, all the good stuff. And I'm honored that, I get to be part of the SEC conversation today, through the transitive property, reigning SEC champions right here.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I'm super stoked. But this should be a fun time. But yeah, I'm so excited that football is real right now. It's like you can touch it. So let's get after it.
2 weeks
already. Yeah. Already started to kind of schedule my Saturdays, what I will be doing, what time I will be getting up, what I'm turning on. First and foremost, I'm super excited. Like these guys alluded to, 11 days until that first matchup in Dublin.
Man.
Kansas State versus Iowa State.
Yep.
Right? Oh, yeah. 2 top 25 teams. Definitely a great way to start it. But like we alluded to, we're talking SEC ball today. Appreciate all y'all in the comments. Anthony Handy hitting us up even before we went live. My guy. I can dig it. Yo, but we got to let's start right away. Let's start with breaking news. Alex, I'm going to come to you first. Oklahoma got a transfer quarterback from Washington State, John Mateer. The guy's got an arm, but he's also very mobile, definitely electric, helped Washington State to do well last year. And he's at OU, but there's been some recent allegations on some screenshots found on his phone on some Venmo messages that were titled sports betting. And there was 2 separate screenshots on there. One said sports betting. The other was on the USC-UCLA game to, if I'm not mistaken, another player on the team. But Alex, he's saying, it was just an inside joke. It was just, a miss. It didn't really, it not as it looks, not as it seems. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, it's kind of hard what hard to tell what actually happened here because all we can see is like you said, a shot of a Venmo account that I believe somebody else found. I don't believe it was on his phone. I think somebody, kind of like the Connor Stallions thing when they said he was paying for tickets and all that. I think somebody dug through because it's all public on there. Went through and found these, and the one literally says sports betting, UCLA versus USC. So I was like, that seems pretty cut and dry, but it's hard to tell whether if it was an inside joke, what kind of inside joke are we talking about here? Like,
right.
If there was anything related to sports betting, I mean, we saw, what was it, an Iowa State player last year that is now banned from college sports because he bet on, now that was college football directly he was betting on. I don't know if it would be a less a harsher punishment betting on your own sport or your own games versus betting on something else. We'll have to see, but if he's gone, OU's in trouble because not only is he, a lot of people deem him a top 10, top 15 quarterback in college ball this year, but he's been in the offense. The offensive coordinator this year also came with him from Washington State. So there's the experience there, both in the playbook and on the field. The guy's played a ton of games. And if he's out and can't play, what does that do for Oklahoma as a whole? What does that do for Brent Venables as far as his job security? And there's so many ramifications here just based on one player and if he can play or not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we saw how they struggled with quarterback play last year with Jackson Darnold, who, had mobility, was a tank, could run, but wasn't the best passer. And then you bring in Napier, who threw for over 3,000 yards last year with 29 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions, then also rushed for over 800 yards on the ground. You want to talk about a dynamic player bringing success to the prominent OU program. I mean, this would be huge. Absolutely huge if he was not able to play. But it kind of leads me to, kind of his response to it all. It's just an inside joke. I understand how serious this is, but that's not what it really meant. But to Alex's point, it seemed kind of cut and dry. Do you believe his excuse?
Not one bit. Like, you put these specific games. How dumb are you to put that out there? Can you just imagine what Alex is talking about? What is Brent Venables thinking right now? This was the biggest lifeline that he just put out there by bringing in the OC and the quarterback and saying, save my job. And then this happens? He's got to. I mean, I'm sure he said to his wife, hey, no more remodels on the house because we're probably putting it on the market here soon.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, I mean, to that point, what does this mean? I mean, this is where we are in college football, with this betting and all this, and it's so crazy. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, dang, man, like how the brain ain't there, man. Like to Will's point, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have so much to lose right now.
Yeah, well, at the time he's a freshman in college. We're dumb, especially when we're freshmen in college. I'm not supporting it or saying he shouldn't be in trouble at all because you have to live with the choices you make, right, wrong, indifferent, or whether you're mature or not mature. To Will's point, it's kind of, sports betting, that could be a joke. Sports betting USC versus UCLA, you really got to explain that joke because that's not going to fly for me. But in reality, this, we got to take this super serious because this is how we start talking about point shaving. I know he wasn't talking about betting on his game in particular, but guys have buddies who play at other schools. Look at what happened with the Guardians a couple weeks ago with 2 different pitchers. The guy betting that his first pitch would be a ball, and he goes out and he throws a ball.
He threw it in the dirt. He didn't even.
It wasn't close.
He made sure that he was going to cash in. So
got that bet.
we got to take this stuff like super duper serious because yeah, we don't all love how NIL shakes out or different advantages, blah blah blah. That's a whole debate for another day.
Yeah.
But once the players are on the field, we want the game to be as authentic as possible, and not influenced on the outside. So I really think, unless he has some magical way, a thread of Facebook from 3 years ago that outlined how that's an inside joke, then he needs to miss substantial time. Honestly, probably the entire season.
Well, yeah, there's a good chance if it's an actual thing and he was betting on college ball, he's done.
Yep,
Done.
and
That's
that
crazy.
probably should be how it is. But that sucks either way for the kid.
Yeah.
Will, you say something?
I was curious to ask you all, like, is there a difference if you are playing or not playing? Like, was he playing it during this time for Washington State? Or was that when Cam Ward was there? No, Cam Ward, this is even before. That could have been before that. So, like, if he's
Cam Ward would have been there, 2022.
Okay. If he's not playing, is there a difference in a punishment if you have no outcome on the game?
Maybe if he was a walk-on that didn't play, sure. But then you wouldn't matter to the team anyways. So
yeah.
But then what are the rules? Aren't the rules pretty cut and dry? Like if you do it, you're done. Like there's no middle ground there. So even if he was,
from what we've seen,
you know what I mean. Even if he was just a towel boy, like you can't be a part of the team with that type of stuff. I think
you could be an assistant coach and win national titles, though. Cheating.
Wow.
So I mean,
allegations, alleged. All right. I got you, Alex.
I got you.
Alleged. Didn't happen. Oh man, yeah. We'll see. And look, we know there is a lot of money flying around college football right now. With to Eric's point, regardless of how people feel about the NIL and all this type of stuff, a lot more players are openly getting a lot more money than was previously seen. So I would hate to think that this is something that might become more of an issue, but hopefully with how they address maybe this situation, they kind of nip it in the bud. And I fear he shouldn't have done it, period. And it doesn't. Your explanation was hogwash, in my opinion. But I fear that they're going to throw the book at him if this is serious, and they're going to use him as an example to kind of get people out. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
The only way I can see him like getting himself out of this is if the sports betting joke was like them playing, say, like a video game, like the college game, and it was UCLA versus USC, and they bet on the game, and that was their joke. That's the only way I really see him getting out of this.
They better have some clips, some snapshots of that online game they played.
So here's a message from Joel Klatt. He said, "We are going to turn college football into a lawless free-for-all with large sums of money flowing to players who can be free agents twice a year. But then we freak out over 3 Venmo descriptions from 2022. Do y'all agree with him?" That's kind of where I was wondering if he's
not wrong, but
yeah,
what he's saying is by not doing something, open the door wider. So to me, that kind of contradicts itself.
Well, I think
love
it's
Joel Klatt, by the way,
for college football as well.
Oh yeah,
like you were saying, Eric. What information did he know? Whether he's on the field of not affecting his game, what does he know about other teams?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think to freak out and be like, ban the guy already, I think that's a little over the line. Like, I think seeing this, we got to dig into it more, right?
Yeah.
To just be like, he's guilty, ban him right now. I think that's foolish.
If I were Oklahoma, I would not have removed him from the team or suspended him from the team. He would still be practicing.
Yep.
And he would still be getting reps. Maybe he gets number 2 reps now. I may not play him until this is resolved, but he would still be a part of the team. at this point.
For maybe nothing else other than being able to pass the knowledge of the offense on to the next guy until, if he's guilty, until it's found and he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Now,
biggest thing
real-
to this, though, is Will's point. Venables, like, I had no faith coming into this year with Napier until Alex sold me a little bit. But to Will's credit, like, I do not know, unless Jade Knott is the greatest running back in the last 10 years, how Brent Venables survives this. So I wonder if his holdback guy, his get back guy, was holding him back from going after Mateer when he found out, man. He was grabbing him by the belt.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't get it. It's just
Yeah.
allegations.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
see,
worth
here's the big thing is they don't have a lot of time to figure this out, because sure, week one, typical cupcake week one game for most teams. Then week two, we come into their building. That's a big time game for both these teams.
it.
Both these teams need this game badly. And if you don't have your QB1 on the sideline against what our defense is looking like it's going to be this year, that's big trouble for Venables.
Mhm.
And now QB3 is QB2. Oh,
Yeah.
geez. Can you imagine
Yeah.
if
Not good.
Hawkins gets hurt? Whoa.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
You mean the
Not
kid
good.
from Mercer? Come on. You don't believe in him?
Belief for sure. Definitely.
His time is coming. His time is now. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, a lot of eyes will be on this, especially speaking of what we're talking about today with the SEC. One of the polls, I don't believe they were on, I believe the coaches, but I believe they're on the AP, if I'm not mistaken. I know, or maybe it's the other way around. As a matter of fact, I'll put it up right now.
Did you see this,
for
Alex?
Oklahoma. Oklahoma was on the AP, but not.
I
on the
am
coaches
jealous,
poll.
Anthony. Yeah, they're the first team off the coaches poll.
Yeah.
And they're 18 in the AP. That's wild.
So let's
Agreed.
bring it up right now.
Quite the jump.
Here is the AP top 25 with Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, and Miami, Arizona State, Illinois, South Carolina, Michigan, and Florida, SMU, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Indiana. And to round it out, Ole Miss, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Tennessee, and Boise State. We looked at the coaches. This is the AP. Eric, I'll start with you, man. What are your thoughts, man? I mean, we just talked about OU. If staying here right quick, if this is true, does that immediately knock them off? I mean, obviously they're high on this list anyway, but I mean, how far do they drop if this is true and he's not playing?
Yeah, I mean it's certainly significant. That they're the one big problem I have with the AP coaches poll, because I wouldn't have had them in the top 25 based off of the last couple of years' production. But yeah, so even if on the other one they're the first one out, they go from like 26 to 35, and I'm just throwing a number out there. So certainly you take away that quarterback who is one of the only two new hopes for optimism other than Ott. And how do you see them as better than anybody below them on that top 25? Like without him, I completely don't see how they have any match against even the Indianas and the Boise's losing Genty. So giantly significant. I do like, just for the random fact of it, even though they're identical, other than like one team here or there, I do like the AP one more overall, just because, I don't know, little nods to like Kansas State, who I know I expect to be really good. I know Alex expects them to be really good. A&M is a few spot higher. I'm high on A&M. BYU doesn't quite sneak in. So There's just the little nitpicky things at the end that get me a little more excited about the AP. But the more I think about it, that Oklahoma, man, that really kind of ruins it. Pre quarterback getting in trouble.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Because it's a major drop. And looking at their schedule, Alex talked about it, September 6th, they got to play Michigan. Then they you got Auburn on the 20th. But then in Dallas, they play Texas on October 11th. Then go to South Carolina. Then come home for Ole Miss, go to Tennessee, have a bye week, and then go to Alabama and finish the year with Missouri and LSU. So there's no rest for the weary in their season. So if they don't have him, to Anthony's point, I don't think he said if they still win. It's a very big difference if they without him on the field.
Here's Alex dump on his own team.
Oh,
jeez. Hey, quick question for you. Should we start today, just based on your last question? Should we start what week does Brent Venables get fired based on that schedule? Because I think that would be a fun sports betting topic for us to Venmo to each other.
Right.
I mean, the last two coaches we did it on, one turned their season around and the other sucked and still kept his job. So actually, no, he turned it around that season and then sucked the next year. Talking obviously Napier last year, but then I forget his name. I'm forgetting. Oh, Norvell at Florida State. The season we did it, he went to the playoff if his quarterback was healthy, and then sucked last year. But
so what you're saying is we would be saving his job?
Hey, if history repeats itself.
All right, Brent Venables, you heard it here. Send us a little cash your way, man.
Right.
Just with history repeating itself and the sports betting thing here, if you given the history of the CFP era here, your national champion is either going to be Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, or Notre Dame. It's been since the CFP era started in 2014, it's always been a team that was in the top 6 in the initial AP poll. So if you're wanting to throw your money on a national championship bet, it's one of those 6 teams.
There you go. And as we said, OU is not in that mix. Let's look at that again. And just speaking of the SEC, you got Texas at 1, you got Georgia at 5, Bama at 8, LSU at 9, South Carolina at 13, Florida at 15, and then in this one, obviously, OU at 18, and then A&M at 19. Will, you see your team, they're nice, they're up there at 13, ahead of our buddy Alex in Michigan. And we talked about a lot of these teams. What are your thoughts? Obviously, we see how we feel about OU, but A&M, you guys, Florida, are you feeling confident in the SEC having a lot of these teams in here, or you think some of these teams are going to drop out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we were to think about who are some of the sleepers, let's go into last week's conversation about Florida. You guys educated me. That's why I pay attention to this show, and occasionally I'd be willing to come on and talk about it because I really didn't know a whole lot about Florida. And when Alex was talking about Florida's got a chance to do something this year, I was kind of shocked. But then I went and looked at their roster, and if there ever was an opportunity for Billy Napier to turn the page and make that jump, it is this year. His entire defense is coming back. The roster is intact. You kind of look at the continuity on a team and all this movement, but if you've got guys that have been in your building that he's been building for a couple of years, and now his entire defense is homegrown, this is an opportunity for him. He's on offense, same thing, a whole lot of continuity. He's got one wide receiver that came in as a transfer and one freshman that's listed high on the depth chart. Other than that, they've been there. They've been in the building for at least the last 2 years. I think that goes pretty far. And so I definitely now can understand where Alex is coming from, where he was like, don't sleep on Florida, along with the fact that Lagway was really coming along last year. and putting it to some of our Georgia guys. So I think Florida's going to be a team to watch.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely going to be somebody that you want to keep your eye on for sure.
Yeah. I think Ole Miss is going to be a team to watch. I have Lane Kiffin ranked as like he's up there as one of the best coaches in college football, and I hate to admit
easily
it,
top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he can bother you as a coach, and he's very, very confident. You could say borderline arrogant at times. But the opposite of Florida is what Ole Miss is going through. He completely had to revamp his roster because of the NFL draft. All his defense got picked up. His entire secondary is brand new. He's full of transfers on defense, but this is also the era where you can plug and play and do it. And what he's got is a quarterback that he believes in Austin Simmons, who's been there. You know, it's like, and if you got Lane Simmons heaping praise on a quarterback, why would you argue with him? You know? So I definitely think that Ole Miss is a team to watch out for. The other one that really surprised me, I was very, very down on them, was Texas A&M. But then I started looking at their roster a little bit, and you think, okay, year 2 of Mike Elko, year 2 of their quarterback, Marcel Reed. And then I looked and saw same thing like with Florida, where they have a whole bunch of players that have been there that are going to be there. And of their additions, they got the best wide receiver in the transfer portal, the wide receiver out of NC State, last name Conception. Big time target to come in here. I know South Carolina was going after him really hard. And so at first I was sitting there going like, no, A&M's not going to be anything. But I think with that continuity, Elko's a good coach. You know, he did some great things at A&M. So I think you're going to see them rise up there a little bit. And the last one, I'll save my team for last, I guess. You know, they've got 2 studs on each side of the ball that are, game changers, and Dylan Stewart and Lenore Sellers. And I mean, I think Sellers is going to take a big jump. They've got a lot of returners on defense, our secondary, our D-line, all kinds of folks who have been there before. I think that's really going to help them out. The big key for South Carolina is going to be on offense. What wide receivers? You all don't know any of the wide receivers on the roster, outside of Columbia. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows who the running back is. And so
you guys still have Harbor?
What's that?
You guys still have Nick Harbor, or did he?
They do have Nick Harbor.
99 speed.
Yeah, I was like, I know him from the game. That's it.
Right. Yeah. So that's going to be the big key for South Carolina. Can their wide receivers develop for Sellers for someone to pass to? But I mean, I really do look at that. I mean, I said it last year. I had my eyes on Ole Miss, and I'm going to keep my eyes on them again as a team to jump up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Eric, I will say it. I'm gonna let you come in here and talk. You mentioned Florida, Ole Miss. I mean, I like some of these, but to your point that you were making last week, it's not that you downplayed the coach. It's more that schedule. They have a gauntlet towards the end of that, towards the middle of the season, where they have go to LSU, go to Miami, come home to play Texas, go to Texas A&M. You have Mississippi State at home, an open week, and then you have Georgia. I mean, that anybody can get through that. I mean, obviously, you would think they're a favorite, but realistically, he is, I believe, 1-9 against the teams like the Georgias, the Florida States, the LSU's, the Miami's, and Tennessee's in there. He's only beaten Vandy, Mississippi State, South Carolina in 2023. He has struggled. We know that he has struggled, and this gauntlet doesn't look like he's helping. But to their point, does he have the team this year? Like, can they turn around, or is this a hey, he did good, but that schedule is just unforgiving?
Roster hasn't been a problem since he's been there. Now it's a problem from the standpoint: do the guys fit your system? Do they fit your program? But as far as talent, he hasn't had a problem recruiting since he got to Florida. They've been stockpiling. So there's no doubt about that in my mind. Again, I was a bit too thrown off and shocked just by what came across as sheer belief in them that, I was probably big deer-eyed and like, what in the heck is going on right now? With that said, they have a lot of really good players. DJ Lagway, huge time recruit, played well when he played last year. So nothing of that did I kind of take any issue with. It was more just that gauntlet of a schedule. Like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
you mentioned the LSU, Miami, Texas A&M back to back. Before we started talking, I said that while Mississippi State isn't, someone that's striking heart or fear in people's hearts, being in between A&M and being between Georgia, that is to me the definition of a trap game. So then you can do the same thing between Georgia and Ole Miss with Kentucky. As soon as they get done with Ole Miss, they go to Tennessee. So without a program that's just been established and proven, like if you gave Georgia the schedule, I still have a hard time seeing them come out without 2 losses. And they are a model of consistency. So I think Florida could very well, by the end of the season, be a top 12, top 10 team. I do not think that their record or the results are going to put them in position to be recognized in that fashion. So
That's fair.
it's just I completely believe they are a very good team and they can beat anybody on their schedule. But just beating that murderer's row, like, geez, man, I would have so much heartburn right now if I was a Florida fan with that schedule.
Now, can I counter on this schedule here?
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, to me, LSU and Texas, I don't like those matchups whatsoever.
Yeah.
Miami, we don't know what Carson Beck is going to be this year. So I think it's like talent with, in my opinion, the better quarterback in Florida. So I do lean Florida in that matchup. Same with now. The thing is, you're going to Miami, you're going to Texas A&M in this next one, which could sway it in those other teams' favors. But again, like matchup, better quarterback for Florida. Georgia, I think it's the same thing. I think Georgia's a really good team. I think Florida's a really good team, like roster-wise. The better quarterback is in Florida. He outplayed Beck and them when he was in the game last year. So before he got hurt, they were beating Georgia. They had a handle on that game. Ole Miss, we don't know what we have in Simmons, so that's another dangerous one. Again, on the road, which really sucks for Florida that these tough games are on the road. And like Will said, that's essentially a whole new starting roster for Ole Miss. Now it's later in the season. If it was earlier in the season, I'd almost definitely give the win to Florida there. Tennessee, better quarterback in Florida. You're at home. I think they win that game. Florida State, sorry, Ben, they're not on that level quite yet. I like what they're rebuilding there, but they're a year or two away yet. So I think with Florida this year, there's so many games that are what, especially if you listen to Joel Klatt, he calls those like matchups, where it's even rosters, and we're going to see from Napier and Legway, can they win these games this year? It's going to be a big test for both those two.
So, that kind of begs the question, though. Again, part of what I said was they can beat anyone on that schedule. You think they're going to beat most people on that schedule? Because that's kind of what I'm at least reading into what you're seeing there.
I don't see them beating LSU. I don't see them beating Texas. Every other one, I can find a legit reason they win that game.
So you gave them 2 losses right there.
Yep.
And you're finding reasons for them to be able to win all the others, which means those are easily losable.
They could be 10-2. They could be 5 and 7. Like it's a very wide margin of record for them this year.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I definitely respect it. And I believe that you've got a great mind for all this, but I have a very hard time seeing them get more than 9 wins.
Well,
I don't see
it's
them
tough
getting
to
more
look
than
at.
7.
See, and that's you could make very strong arguments for both of those.
And having a good
think,
team at 7 wins.
Yeah, that's one of the best 7-win teams in the nation.
Yeah.
Better than
right
now. I'm kind of seeing them at 9-3, and 9-3 with that schedule is a fringe playoff team.
Fringe.
Yep.
You better be like top 6 with that and going 9-3 with that schedule. You better be hosting.
If the 3 losses,
you gotta think though of when those losses are going to come.
Yeah,
but those losses you can't lose by 20.
Oh, you can't get smacked in any of those.
Come
losses.
December, if Florida goes 9-3 and is not in the playoffs, you're going to hear SEC Will come back out again on this show.
Whoa.
Screaming this time.
But are they 9-3 and they had 2 losses that were by 17 or more?
There's those how they lose these losses are going to have is really going to affect their validity as a playoff team.
Yeah,
because they could have weeks where they just outright dominate. Maybe they come out and they dominate Texas, and then they come out the next week and all of a sudden they aren't the same team against A&M. So
yeah, well, and I think this year you're going to see a 3-loss playoff team. I think there's so much variety in college football this year. Yeah. There's so many teams that are kind of on that same level that I think you're going to see a 3-loss team sneak in there.
They learned their lesson from last year.
Anthony.
Right, SMU.
Oh.
I'm leaving that one.
But can I jump on one other team? I really like Texas A&M.
I do too.
I love Mike Elko. Honestly, I think he's top 3-4 coach in the SEC today. That guy he's brilliant. He's tough-nosed. He's no nonsense. He, I don't know, everywhere he's been, from Wake Forest to Bowling Green to us in our worst season in 20 years, turning us around on that side of the ball. Like, everywhere he's been, he's produced, and I am legitimately scared of that week 2 game. I wouldn't say I'm scared of Miami, not that they can't beat us, but I'm legitimately scared of what shows up with that Mike Elko team, especially if Marcel Reed has developed as a passer.
See, that's the massive question mark with A&M on, like, they could easily be a top 8 team in hosting a first round playoff game. It's going to come down to how well Marcel Reed can be at not turning over the ball, because he's electric in that backfield, but he turns the ball over too much, or at least he did last year, which was the dagger in so many games for them.
But he was such a gigantic upgrade.
Yes.
From the guy who I'm not even going to acknowledge his name. There's someone who was a huge fan of him that I never understood. Not on this board, but that does periodically watch these shows.
I know exactly. I know both the quarterback and the person you're talking about.
That hurt my mind 100 times more than the Florida talk hurt my mind.
Oh, that was good. Now, speaking of that, and speaking of tough schedules, I mean, we know the teams that are, maybe on the cusp, and we have questions. I do think another team we have to look at is, a lot of people are harping a lot of praise on, is LSU. Now, we know about Nussmeier being back. We know about Kelly. But if we're talking schedules, I mean, they have a tough one. You start at Clemson. You got Florida on the 13th. You go to Ole Miss. You have a bye week. Then you get South Carolina. You go to Vandy, who we know is, they can win. Texas A&M, have a bye week. Then go to Alabama. End the season with Oklahoma. We don't know what they're going to be. Are we for sure they're one of the top, teams and one of the playoff teams?
No,
can they drop out?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
As a as a Brian Kelly
Survivor.
survivor, or I joke because Brian Kelly, I will forever respect what he did for my program. He pulled us out of the dungeon.
Mhm.
But big games, we were never ready. And that doesn't seem to have changed that much at LSU. You can look at the season openers the last few years. I
He's
mean,
brutal in them.
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
But I can name a bunch of games, including the last time we played that team up north on my screen, where we had a really damn good football team that year, and we showed up, and our guys didn't get off the bus.
Yeah.
The defense still didn't prove, despite how many great players they have, that they can stop, a common cold at LSU. And then here's the thing that I saw last week that really made me a little nervous for him. Nussmeier has been battling like tendonitis in his throwing elbow for not just a couple weeks. This is an ongoing problem for him where he has had to sit out practices because of it. And that doesn't sound like a big deal until it is. Like, I mean, if you're missing games, if you can't throw in practice, you're losing practice reps just to be able to throw in games. Like, that's a big deal. So, but big game, Brian, I don't see him making it through that schedule unscathed.
I think at best it's 3 losses.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, you can pretty much
Week
mark
one.
it down that they're going to lose to Clemson.
Yeah.
And then 2 out of these next few games, Florida, Ole Miss, South Carolina, A&M, Alabama, at least 2 of those.
Mhm.
And we saw this team pull up a massive upset last year. What if Vandy beats LSU when they come into town?
Right.
They've done it. Pavia is still there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that's a team that can steal a game from a top team every year with what Clark Lee's built there now. So this is another team that could easily be 7-5, and that's not that far-fetched.
Absolutely.
Especially you lose Nussmeier for a game here or there, and then
you're toast.
And the LSU could very well lose 3 of those games and then go out and dominate the best team on their schedule.
Yeah,
they're still going to find a way to lose 2 or 3 games. So
we know they're good for it. Now we know we know the big name teams. We know what Bama's going to most likely do. All things considered, there's no major injuries. We know what Georgia's going to come and do. Texas, we're pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about Tennessee. Obviously, the whole situation with Nico Iamaleava, he is no longer there. He's now at UCLA. Tennessee is another one that has, an interesting schedule, maybe a little bit more favorable. I mean, they start with Syracuse, which could be an issue. They got Georgia at September 13th, but then it's UAB, Mississippi State, Arkansas, all winnable games. You go to Alabama on the 18th. Then you go to Kentucky, Oklahoma, New Mexico State, and then you finish the season at Florida, at Vandy. You look at that schedule and you say, okay, with the talent they had, you figure they should do pretty good in that. But then obviously the situation at quarterback, even some of the other players are kind of going back and forth over money and some of that stuff. Can Tennessee be one of these teams that kind of a little favorable schedule? Can they shock some people and then make it back to the playoff? Will?
Looking at their schedule, the answer is yes, but they are going to be the SMU of the playoffs if that happens. You may have only lost 2 games, but you didn't beat anyone good to get there. I mean, I do not think this is a very good Tennessee team. This schedule is ridiculous. Anybody would love to play this. How this got concocted, and this is who they drew this year. It's just absolutely
versus Florida and LSU are playing, the 2 we just looked at.
It's like this is crazy. And you look, I mean, they've got a lot of players coming back on defense, which that's, always been, Heupel's little problem. He can score a whole bunch of points, but can they play defense? That's going to help him out. I just don't think they've got it behind center. I mean, if this dude who came from California in high school, went to App State, then went back to California, now he's finishing up his career back in the Appalachian Mountains. I don't know. I don't see it from it. But looking at this schedule, they're probably going to win more games than they actually should, than what they say. But I don't think they're going to be a good team.
No,
Yeah, and
it's
I
hard
mean,
for me to believe they will.
With what you're saying with Aguilar being there, I think the bigger loss isn't Iamaleava. I think it's Dylan Sampson. That dude was a monster running the ball for them. Anytime that they didn't necessarily feel confident in Nico's ability to keep them in games, okay, let's hand it off to Sampson a bunch of times and have him control the clock and control the pace of this game. That's such a massive loss for Heupel's offense, because now you're unproven at running back and bringing a new guy in at quarterback. So that is huge. We said Florida could easily be the best 7-win team in the nation. I think Tennessee could arguably be the worst 9-win team in the nation.
Yeah. Easily.
Like, I don't see it with Tennessee whatsoever, but that schedule is handing them free wins. And I think, here's the thing. They went to the playoff last year and got belt put to their ass. Yeah. And that was a good Tennessee team. What happens if they make it with this one?
I mean, they have to win 9 games. If you don't win 9 games with this schedule, you have failed.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of my questions, is how much does that butt whooping against Ohio State, how much does that linger? How much of that is a hangover? Obviously, the quarterback's not there, Sampson. There's players that are in the league. But still, as a program, we all know, Tennessee and SEC fans, some of the people that are listening in the comments know, Rocky Top, they were going to come into Ohio State and they were going to do this and do that. And the game was over.
I tried to tell them. To tell them.
And they just nothing. Completely didn't show up. And then having the off season that they have. I mean, Eric, I'll come to you. Like, it does not look good, even though they have a favorable schedule. You really question what Tennessee's coming to the table, and can they get over the hump? I mean, they have good teams, but they can never really make it far.
I mean, I could be alone, but I think we're still relatively young in the Heupel era. Excuse me. He, from what they had been over the last 20 years, they might be not as good of a team this year, but they're still going to be a substantially better team than they were 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just a weird kind of dynamic. I'm not going to slaughter them for getting slaughtered by Ohio State. I mean, when Ohio State was on, they were a force to be reckoned with. Like, there weren't too many teams that weren't getting buzzsawed. I mean, towards the end of the season by them. Sure, the Michigans of the world made it happen, but they're their daddy at the moment. So I'm not going to throw Tennessee. I didn't think Tennessee stood a chance against Ohio State either to begin. Yeah. But, he's doing something good. He's winning consistently. So I really don't see that as like a fork in the road for the program. We've all been through our own beatings, and we get up and we survive. He's going to find a way to score points. I don't think Aguilar is going to start long. I think George McIntyre is going to end up overtaking the job not too far into this season. Highly acclaimed quarterback. Heupel will get them ready. They're going to find a way to score points. To Will's point, sometimes the way that offense scores just puts the defense in such a predicament. Like, they're on the field for so long. Yeah. So I certainly agree with both their points. The schedule for what these SEC schedules look like this year is very light, and it's very convenient that they have nice breaks in between the good teams on the schedule. But I certainly expect overall regression this year. With that said, the team that starts on August 30th, if they win and survive, that is not the same team come November 29th. So I'm not going to predict how they'll do in the playoffs if they make the playoffs until we see how this iron gets forged. Because it very well could be a darn good team by then.
Yeah, I think it's a quick reset year, kind of like what we just had this past year. I think it's like, okay, you had your run with the really good teams. Now it's that one reset, retool year, and then you're right back in the mix. I think that's absolutely what Tennessee's heading into this year.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely see it. Now, we know these top teams. I've talked about that. Will gave us the ones that could come out and potentially be the sleepers. Now let's go to the bottom half. You look at it in Arkansas, you look at Kentucky, Auburn, Mississippi State. We talked about Missouri. These guys, okay, we know most likely what to expect. Obviously, Missouri lost the talent that they've had over the couple years, but those other ones have been struggling for some time. Is there any one of those teams that maybe steals from wins? I'm not even going to sit here and say, I got my eyes on Auburn. I like what Auburn's done, but is there any of those teams that could potentially come up, have a winning season, or make some noise later on in the season?
All right, I like where you went with that. I wasn't sure when you started with this question if I was going to have to be breaking down Arkansas because I wasn't prepared to talk about that dumpster fire.
I coupled it together.
But yes, there are two teams, and because he's one of EK's boys, I'll start with him. I mean, we've mentioned it as a team that could sneak up, but you gotta love, if you've had a chance to watch the Netflix special, you're gonna be a cheerleader for Vanderbilt and Clark Lee and the culture that he's building. And the fact that he's got a quarterback that's in his second year. He's not going to sneak up on anyone. He's got a bunch of starters returning on defense, players that have been into his program. And again, I keep preaching that this year about like continuity. I think that's definitely going to help. And of the players that they brought in, offensive linemen and wide receivers, you got to think they saw, and I can only speak of this as a school that culture is one of their selling parts. They saw what he was building and said, I want to be part of that. So I definitely think that Vandy is hitting that James Franklin era of, hey, they're not a bad team anymore. They ain't the pushover. You're still going to beat them more times than you lose to them, but you got to be ready to play. They're not the, hey, here we go, get your red shirts, starters, the guys who are going to be redshirting for the year, that you're getting some playing time in this game. That's not that school anymore. And then the other one is going to be Missouri. And it's actually kind of funny, like South Carolina and Missouri have started to become rivals, and for weird reasons. Some of it has to do with their coach, though. Eli Drinkwitz talks a lot of smack, and he talks a lot of it during the week of, but he can coach. He's flat out shown that he could jump from App State to Power 5 and do really, really well. The thing is, he's got so many new players, and this is where you just don't know with this team. They've got the guy, I can't even pronounce his last name, but the quarterback from Penn State that transferred before the playoffs began. Their backup quarterback. That's his start. Okay. Purbu, there you go. I can't say it.
Yeah, Alex, that's why I said Bo. I tried to help the guy out. Then you do that.
Yeah, they got Bo. And then offense and defense, he's just got a whole litany of new players on there. So you just don't know about this team, but he's a really good coach. And by the end of the season, I would imagine they're looking at that. He'll probably have them bowl eligible. So those would be two schools that I think may surprise some people.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'll hop in. I like Auburn this year. I like they've gone and grabbed as many quarterbacks as they can to try and be like, okay, one of you is going to work. I like I still think there's potential with Jackson Arnold. I think it was not the right system in Oklahoma. I think he would have fared a lot better with this OC this year and Arbuckle being there. But I like what they've got going in Auburn. They've slowly been building. I think a little slower than people would have liked. But I think they're kind of sitting in that 20 to 25, or like just outside the top 25 by season's end.
And they have to. I mean, this is it for Hugh
Yep.
Freeze. So this is a make or break year. And he's got a lot of people coming back on defense. So maybe that can help him. Let him tinker with the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Any of those teams press you?
You know, I love what Will said about Vandy.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't know that, like, I love Clark Lee. I think he should be there for life. I think from what I know and what I saw in my time as having him as a coach, he like fundamentally his teams are sound, like they are well coached, they are smart. I don't know how he's gonna do getting talent. That wasn't necessarily his forte even when he was with us. He wasn't a dog on the trail. But you know, if you get guys to fit your scheme, you know, if they can be 6-6 each year, that's an amazing Vanderbilt team.
Yes.
So I agree from that sense. Just maybe not as high hype as not you, but others. I expect Mizzou to take a bit of a drop. Will made a great point. Bowl eligible would be a good year. I'm really intrigued by Arkansas. Yeah, it's and I don't know what exactly it is. Pittman's a good line coach. They have some really interesting talent there. They have a quarterback that I would say is not that dissimilar from. He's not as good, but he's not that dissimilar from a guy up in South Carolina. Like, it's a guy who can make plays, and he could very well win games on his own accord. So, am I predicting them to win the SEC? Not a chance. But could I see them being a 7-win team? Absolutely. I could also see them being a 2-win team. But I really like Taylor Green. I really like a lot of the players they have returning. I think Pittman has proven to be a good line coach in the past that will only complement what's going on with Taylor Green. But he very well could be gone before Venables. So we'll see.
I think that prediction would come true. But like you said,
Definitely.
he's a good line coach. I don't know if anyone saw him being a head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's also maybe that's why I'm rooting for him. Is like, he doesn't fit the mold, but he loves being the Arkansas coach. And maybe it's just that I just really want to see him do well, except for 1 week this year. I want him to get trounced. But other than that, yeah.
Oh yeah. For me, it's Vandy and Auburn. I mean, I've always been big on Diego Pavia since he transferred, before he transferred over. And then, you know, the fact that they had 13, returning guys, eight on defense. Clark Lee, like you were mentioning, I love him. And then pay attention to Auburn. I'll leave it there to Alex's point. Just pay attention to them. I think I saw what Anthony wrote in there. I think Auburn, they could steal some from teams. I don't know how far they'll go, but they'll make some Saturdays very, very interesting. Look, before we get out of here, one of the things we're going to try to do this year when we talk about some of these conferences is talk about who our pick is to win. Now, we obviously don't know, and it's like Eric said, the team that plays on August, 30th is not going to be the team that plays on November or whatever. You know what I mean? It's going to be two completely different teams, so we really can't tell. But we all kind of have some people in mind that were like, yeah, this team seems to be, pretty favorable. Eric, I'll come to you first. Who do you think's winning the SEC this year?
All right. I don't think it's that bold, but it might be bold to a couple of my guys in this chat we got here. The easy pick would be Georgia in my mind, but I'm gonna go with Alabama.
Mm.
Okay.
I like Ryan Williams. They have a very experienced offensive line coming back. Ty Simpson, very highly touted quarterback. When he joined the Crimson Tide, he beat out DeBoer's guy. They brought in another receiver that had a lot of production at Miami, and they have a lot of their defense returning. And to be honest, I just think DeBoer's a good football coach. The only thing that concerns me, will his offensive play style, survive in the SEC? If they can get that going, then I think Alabama's a dangerous team with a really good coach. And it's not like their talent left the program.
No, still high level.
So, I'm being real risky picking Alabama.
Oh man, Will, I see who you got on your shirt, but who you think's taking the your conference?
I think it's going to be Georgia. I was really just leaning towards Texas, but as much as I love Arch Manning, he hasn't shown us yet. They have a great roster. They don't have too many difficult games, but that end of the season game against A&M, it could be you lose this and you're out of the championship game. So there's a lot of pressure then that you're putting on him there. So, I love the idea of Alabama too. That's a program that's got the horses there already. Georgia's got a lot of guys returning, so I'm gonna go with Georgia.
Like that. Alex, what you think, man?
I'm rolling with Texas. I think Sark's one of the better coaches in the conference. Arch, we haven't seen much, but I have total faith in what I've seen from him. Good young receiving core. Wisner, the running back, I like him a lot. The one worry for me with Texas is that offensive line. They lost a lot there to the draft. But then you flip over to that defensive side, and you got Colin Simmons and those guys on that side of the ball. I talked about Tennessee getting belted in the playoff game. Texas walked into our house and dismantled us last year with what ended up being a top 10 defense. They put up almost 50 on us. So I love what I see from Texas, and I think they don't run away with it, but I think they win it with a pretty comfortable SEC championship game win.
Oh, I love that. All right, I'll be the crazy one. I'll fight the battle. We're going to the swamp. And they're getting it done.
I thought about doing it just to see his reaction.
Look, Billy Napier, he's 19-19 at Florida, 10-14 in the SEC. Obviously, it's only been a couple years. The talent, as we know, is finally there. I think he's got a quarterback. I think he's been ready to prove himself. 59 wins all together when in places he's been before. He's been on Alabama's staff through 2 national championships, so he knows what success is. I think he goes through the gauntlet, only losing one game, and they.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm taking it, and I'll even go one step further because I know what people think.
I know where you're going, and yes.
That make me crazy.
Yes.
I had to do it.
EK, you're muted.
The whole reason you picked them is to troll me. There's no other explanation.
No, I honestly look. I'm serious. I've always been huge on Napier. I've always thought if he could get his recruits, he's returning guys. He now has his quarterback. And I will say this: I wasn't going to piggyback on all three. My first thought was Alabama, clearly because Ryan Williams, but I wasn't going to piggyback on what you guys said. So I went here, and I don't fully trust A&M. I love Marcel Reed, but I just don't know what Marcel Reed we're going to get. So
with your thing though, like I said last week, in the games that DJ Legway played, they were 6-1, and that loss is he left early in the Georgia game. So with that, you can kind of say, like, with Legway under center, it's a proven winner. They won tough games last year, and they were leading the only tough game they lost with Legway as the starter. There's tons of logic to put into it. It's just when you've seen Florida the last few years, it makes it seem so crazy. But
when we had Ian Book, we won 8,000 games. That didn't make us a contender. I don't know.
But here's the other thing we've seen, and I'm not saying Florida's winning the national championship here.
Yeah, no.
But what have we seen from these last two national champions? The continuity, especially on that defensive side. You've tons of pieces staying in the building and guys that have played together 2, 3, 4 years. That's what you've got with a ton of this Florida roster.
Yeah,
so all the logic in there lines up.
That's
winning 12 games a year.
That's what EK's saying. That's Alabama.
They
rival exactly what Ohio State had last year.
There's a ton of teams in the SEC that this follows. This follows Georgia. This follows Texas. This follows Florida. This follows Alabama. Like there's so many of these SEC teams.
No, it doesn't. Those teams have all won a lot of games.
but you know what?
I'm not talking about the winning games part. I'm talking about the roster staying the same for the majority of the time.
Navy has continuity every year. Everybody comes back.
What you just said, though, Alex, is the reason why the SEC is the best conference in college football and why the NFL scouts drool every single year over the players.
I'll give you that.
Bible and college football. The South rules it all.
Not anymore. It doesn't. South is great for college football, but the North owns it now.
Here we go.
No.
Hey,
I was gonna say the North.
You're on a hot streak. That's all you got. It's a hot
streak. The North
has
had every participant from the national championship the last 2 years. It was Michigan and Washington, both in the North. It was Ohio State and Notre Dame, both in the North. The last couple of years, Michigan's owned Alabama for one. Ohio State dismantled multiple teams in the SEC. I mean, they took your top tier teams and made them look foolish. So I'm just saying, Big Ten rules college football right now.
I don't. My headphones must not be working right now. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Do I need to get this? Oh, wait, we got your signal, so I can signal it to you.
Yeah.
War plans.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the season is right here, right around the corner. The trash talk, all this stuff begins. The craziness is definitely out there. But so excited that we're right here at the new season. But we got to go ahead and head out. We talked a little SEC ball far too much. Oh, I'll have my shirt.
Oh, man. I'm ready for next week.
Next week, we will be talking about the other super conference, the Big Ten, who currently holds the last two national champions in Ohio State and Michigan. So I'm sure the conversation will be mighty exciting next week because I know Indiana's out here talking mess, and I know certain people ain't believing in Indiana at all. So, yeah, that will definitely be fun. But, look, we got to go ahead and get out of here before Eric totally disowns me. You see my guy over here, Michigan's own Alex Loosemore. Hey, the Garnet and Black, South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer. And then the man in front of touchdown, Jesus, E.K. Holiday. And it's your boy, Sean Spencer. We are heading out of here. We'll see y'all next time. Appreciate y'all joining us. So,
College Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer.